And yes, it is showtime. Welcome back. This is Brian LeGroux, and I am delighted to welcome you back to this live stream here on Facebook and YouTube. Now, today's topic is about COVID and, most importantly, the psychology of motivation. It's a topic that I personally am very much passionate about. Why? Because I'm originally a psychologist by trade, and I also noticed that this COVID thing has really had a big impact on people's emotional and mental well-being. And so today we're going to look at how the psychology of motivation, you can also tap into it to kind of really navigate the waters of this coronavirus thing, right? And ensure that you're coming out on the other side and that you're actually taking control, that you're taking charge over your situation, and that you're not really, kind of going into victim mode. It's very easy to kind of, when things get out of control and when you feel you are out of control, for things to really slip out. And so again, really welcome you to this thing. I also want to say, I want to encourage you actually, as we are going on this little journey together for the next 10 to 15 minutes, and that's all what we're going for, I encourage you to comment, get actively involved in the feed. For the reason being, first, I love communication. I like a dialogue. It needs to be a two-way street. I'm also genuinely interested in what you have been experiencing and what you're thinking about all this. And third, I've got a $1,000 prize that I'm going to draw a winner for based on the activity and the way that they get involved in the feed. So whether you are watching this now live or you are watching this later on, it doesn't matter. Tomorrow, in tomorrow's live episode, I'm going to draw the winner based on the comments and the questions that were put into the chat box. So get involved, guys. Say already good day from wherever you are right now, whether you are on the Australian continent, I'll call it a continent because it's so big, or you are somewhere in Europe or the US or Asia or Africa, you're all welcome. All right, so it's great to have you here. Let's just dive into it right away. And once again, enter actively, get involved in the comments so that you can go into the draw for the $1,000 prize. Now, the $1,000 prize is, remember when I spoke about this thing here yesterday? This is an emotional intelligence assessment, and this is the report. This is my personal report that I recently did for the second time because I wanted to measure where I'm at, benchmark myself compared to other people, and see if my emotional intelligence has grown, stayed static, or actually has reverted back. And I wanted to see, is it possible that COVID might have here and there pushed stuff back whilst other things have grown since? And guess what? The answer to that has been yes. COVID has had its impact. It's left its marks. And I won't say too much about it, but I will say that today's topic is actually talking about self-recognition. So my prize that I've got up here for grabs for one lucky winner, a $1,000 prize, I should say, is doing both the assessment, getting the report, and then having a personalized coaching debrief with me where I take you through it and help to guide you on how you can use this information for any purpose really that you want. So if you want to improve your business, we can look at it from that angle. If you want to enhance your relationships, you can. If you want to, just get more skillful or more motivated, for example, and have higher levels of energy, we can come in from that angle as well. So whatever you choose, it's going to be up for you. So this is my prize that I'm handing out to one lucky winner as a result of getting involved in the feed. So anyway, let's dive into COVID and the psychology of motivation. Good. First things first, as you know, I like starting with a story. Yes. I often have people over the last 10 years and probably even 15 years since I actually graduated from university. I had so many people at different points in time in different organizations, and even in my personal life, comment on the level of energy that most of the time I exude. Now, I want to use this personal story of mine to bring it back to you. So stay with me on this. So energy level is something that people can observe. You just show it, you emit it, and people can check with you whether it's constant or whether you're going on a roller coaster where one day you're really feeling great and elated, and another way you're really down in the hole, right? And having everything, all the shades of gray in between. So if this is you, listen really carefully to what today's topic is and get really involved. Participate actively, because Your emotional, your motivation, your drive, and your energy levels are a direct byproduct of how you think and how you talk most of the time. So in recent times, contrary to pretty much my normal sort of higher energy levels and lots of motivation, with this COVID thingy that happened, sometime in March last year, I certainly noticed that, boom, it did something to me. It really crushed my emotional and mental well-being. And I'll tell you also why. I cherished social connections a lot. So I always loved and thrived on social contact. And then suddenly we couldn't do it. The second thing is I love business networking. And I go through lots of events and have for the last 10 years or so. And suddenly, bam, they were put to a halt. The next thing then is also the fact that my business, was very much based on live training sessions in big corporations and in big companies, and also events that I personally hosted and made available to the public. All of it face to face. As soon as pretty much COVID hit, bang, door shut, events closed, and no consulting and training delivered within the workplace. So suddenly my business turnover went down. And I'm not sure how that works for you, but whenever you notice your income dropping, it tends to have an effect on how you process that on an emotional and mental side as well. And I certainly took that hit on the financial side and kind of integrated within myself. I'm not sure if you can relate to this, but if you do, please let me know in the chat box. I'd love to hear from you so that I don't feel alone in this thing here. Anyway, so I withdrew within myself. That's basically the story here. And I felt very much confronted with this whole thing. And so I kind of had to reinvent myself over the Christmas and New Year holidays. Now, being a clinical psychologist from my background and having had now 15 years of professional experience in high performers and training teams and working with all sorts of organizations, I also know things better. I know that it's very easy to kind of slide back in a mindset and an attitude of feeling that things are happening to us rather than feeling in charge of and being a leader of our destiny. And I kind of really went back, even though I know better. And again, knowing now, having taken the time to do this little assessment of mine and reflecting on that and, just going to do some introspection, I now also know that perception is king. It's all in the way we look at things. It's not the situation as such at hand that is good or bad. It's just our interpretation of the events that are happening around us, right? And so we can interpret them as happening to us, or we can interpret them as us participating in them. And while certain things are out of our control, we just focus on the things that we do control and always look for the seed of good in anything. And so, like I said, I slid back. I kind of retracted and went a bit more in victim mode rather than in leader's mode. And I put up my hand wholeheartedly for this. So let me know if you can relate to this, if this resonates with you, and if you had similar experiences here, love to hear from you. So let's have a quick look at my cheat sheets here. I've obviously got notes. I always prepare for these sort of sessions, but I'm also very freewheeling depending on the activity levels here with you. Now, is it possible that we often overvalue knowledge and skills? I got this question here for you because we all take all sorts of courses to absorb information. We feed off endless streams of information in social media. We watch a lot of TV, read newspapers and all that sort of stuff. So information. We just keep like checking in with this Facebooky thing and this LinkedIn thing and this YouTube thing and this Instagram thing and Twitter and all of that. Information. And by the same token, I see people that do countless courses. And very often it is because they think that they're still yet to find the next thing to really make them whole. And so skills and knowledge are not necessarily the biggest thing in the equation, right? So we are really overlooking often while we're doing that, the most important thing. And that most important thing in the puzzle is our psychology. The way we think about things, the way we talk about things, the way we process information, that's really the crucial one. So based on that will define whether we will do something or not. Because let's just say that you have all the knowledge in the world, all the strategies, all the roadmaps, all the blueprints, and then it's about application and it's about being accountable for it. Very often what I see is that people actually kind of never get there or start off and then stop. And why? Because their psychology is not fully ready yet and aligned with what they're trying to achieve on the other side. So whether that is in business, at the financial level, at a career perspective, the fact, the way they deal in their relationships, that sort of stuff, any goal that is really worthy and worthwhile for you, often the psychology gets in the way to get there. We call it self-sabotaging. We shoot ourselves in the foot. We find, all sorts of very creative reasons to procrastinate and defer stuff. And very often we also would use the very phrase that I quote, we all often say is, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. So emotionally speaking, we are not in a place where we are up to it and we've got the energy and drive and motivation to do what it takes, even though it's hard, but it's necessary. Even though it would fast track us getting to the results that we were looking for, helping us achieve the very thing that we set ourselves. All of that, the psychology gets in the way. So you might have the skills and the knowledge, but then for some reason, we don't take enough action. And action, by the way, is what I'm going to touch on tomorrow. Targeted actions, to be more specific. So with that being said, this all really, to wrap up the story, is to really show that there is very often a serious hole in our self-management, which is one of the key critical components of emotional intelligence. And so once again, one lucky winner that is actively getting involved in the chat box and so on. I see already one being up for it, which is Daniel. Hello and good day to Taiwan, Daniel. Great to see you here, mate. Yes, one lucky winner. As Daniel is getting involved, join him in the ride, in the draw, is going to win that $1,000 prize. So I look forward to announcing that winner in tomorrow's episode, which allows everyone to get some time to reflect on it, work through it, and chat away as we do. So good day, and it is good afternoon to you, mate, whilst it's evening here in Adelaide. Now, so far, let me know what you're thinking, guys. Is this kind of resonating with you? Is this kind of triggering something off? Is it maybe a bit confronting? That's okay. Share it with me, because I know that always when we get uncomfortable, that is a powerful lever to drive meaningful change, to do something about your situation. You don't want to wallow in the negativity or the feelings of discomfort and potential frustration and self-pity and guilt and whatever. Of course not. But you want to use that negative sentiment as fuel to drive meaningful change, because typically any challenging situation is also an opportunity to come out on the other side. So if you're now perhaps feeling a bit stuck and you don't see the end of the tunnel and the light at the end of the tunnel, well, guess what? Use this as fuel. It's just feedback to let you know that you've got to make a few tweaks, that you can do better. You should potentially do better just for your own sake. And so if this is you, let me know. Love to hear from you. And then yes, Daniel, I know that you love emotional intelligence. Great to hear as well. Now, there's 3 lessons here that I wanted to share with you as well. 3 points that you might take home as well. First things first, in order to enjoy high levels of motivation, the way you think and manage your psychology, so this thing here, between your ears, literally means the world to you. Now, I don't know if you know people in your direct circle that most of the time are feeling great. You can tell because they just feel always bouncy and happy and cheerful, enthusiastic. And when you look at it, when you're talking to them, they kind of really always tend to see the good in anything and the glass being half full. Do you know somebody like that? Yes, I certainly do. And this is not by chance. It's not haphazard. They live in a world that looks a little bit more rosy because of the way they think and talk. It's a habit, guys. The way you think and talk is a habit. On the other side of that, as soon as we start, let's say, engaging in gossip and talking behind people's back and criticizing things and people and blaming economies and COVID and all of that for negative things that we perceive as negative, we are straight away going into a different world. And guess what? Both of those worlds, the positive one and the negative one, the doom and gloom on this side here and the rosy one on this side, with the bright side really, they both coexist under the same sun. So you might have one individual here that experiences the exact same situation as you are, and you might be really positive about it here, and the other person might be really negative about it, and it's the exact same thing. So it shows that it's not the situation on the external side, it's the way that we process it mentally within. And of course, as we process it mentally, it will have an impact on how we feel. And as we feel a certain way, we will either do things or we won't do it. We will either take the actions required because we got the fuel and drive and motivation and energy to do them, or we will withdraw within ourselves because we lack all of that, or at least seem to be lacking that. And so it's all about perception. The second thing is talking about energy now. This is an interesting one that I learned also while I was working with Brendon Burchard in New York City, Times Square. I went there a few years ago, and I basically borrowed this here from him. He said, we don't have or lose energy. So your energy within is like a power plant. You either generate the energy or you shut it down. And it's as simple as that. A power plant can either turn on the lights or shut it down, right? And so that's really the way to look at it. So if you again now are not always having the amount of drive and motivation and lacking enough energy, you don't seem to have enough fuel in the tank, well, guess what? It's up to you to generate it. And it's all about habits. It's the way you think and talk that helps with everything, because the way you think and talk, for example, will dictate whether or not you will get up early and go to the gym or do some meditation or yoga or something else that is uplifting and builds your energy. Because you have to really build it. There's certain things to do in order to create it and maintain it throughout the day, regardless of what happens on the outside, right? Last but not least, if knowledge and skills would be everything, everybody would have a success body. Now, whether that body is really very sculpted and big or thin and athletic, up to you to decide, because success is always a personal interpretation. If knowledge and skills would be everything, everybody would be a millionaire or a billionaire. And that's obviously not the case. If knowledge and skills would be everything, we all would, succeed at every single goal that we set ourselves. We would have happy relationships and nobody would divorce. And all of this, and everybody would be really affluent, wealthy, and have an abundant life. And guess what? That is not the case. So, by the way, Tim Allen, welcome. Great to see you here. Yep, I can see you in the stream. Yep, I can tell who is using their reticular activating system for the positive. Great one. I've definitely seen that in you in recent times, Tim. You have really climbed up the ladder, so to speak, and emanated that energy. As a result, you've grown. Positivity attracts positive people. I find being around positive people gives me energy. Yes, that is, again, one of those decisions we make, right? To surround ourselves with people that help us to grow again personally and professionally. So great stuff here. Thanks for getting involved. You are also in the draw for the prize here, which is great. Keep it up, guys. Now, back to the point here, which was the third one. If knowledge and skills would be everything, we all pretty much would be successful in whatever success means to us, right? So we can read books, we can watch countless YouTube videos, we can take countless courses on any subject, because the information on how to do it and on what to do is there. It's abundantly available, and most of the time, it's even free, right? However, the difference really lies in our self-management, the way we manage ourselves. And it's, again, a crucial aspect of emotional intelligence, which is something that we aren't born with. We actually develop it over time. We consciously can grow our emotional intelligence, and as a result of that, build our motivation and levels of energy as one of many other byproducts, but definitely also goal achievement, right? That is all in there. Now, once again, I want to remind you guys, for those that are coming in a little bit late, we have a special, fun competition or a draw happening here. a $1,000 prize that I'm going to be announcing the winner of in tomorrow's live stream. So based on the comments that are in the comment section within this live stream. So write your comments in here, get involved, ask questions, share your experiences, tell me where you can, what you can relate to, and basically what is your biggest takeaway, right? All of this sort of stuff will help you to go into the draw, as Daniel Tolson and Tim Allen have already started earlier here. So that's great. Now, just in summary, I'm always making this short, sharp, and shiny. How are we going with time, guys? I can't suddenly see how long this has been going for. Oh, 20 minutes. Gosh, I have to wrap this up. But anyway, I'm loving this conversation already. Thanks, guys. I, by the way, also will reply to you later on if you're not here yet. To just summarize things, your psychology determines how motivated you will be. So the way you think and talk most of the time will help you define where you're going, will help you define your destiny, and so on, your goal achievement. Your energy level is also a direct byproduct or a reflection of the way you think and talk about most of the time. So if the way you think if the way that you have been thinking and talking in recent times hasn't been always up to scratch, guess what? It might be time to make a change for the better, to be more conscious about what you're putting out there, about what you're emitting, the vibe that you're tuning in with, and that you then also consciously or unconsciously passing on to others. Are you one of those people that is actually the positive one that builds people around you? Or are you the one that people will say, shit, mate, I want to walk away from you and don't want to talk to you at all? And that's, of course, very black and white. But that's really what it ultimately comes down to. And guess what? The choice is all yours. That's the good news. You can change for the better. You can make different decisions right starting today. And guess what? This emotional intelligence assessment and the personalized debrief, a $1,000 prize that I will be handing out to one lucky winner tomorrow, is effectively going to help you with that. So I'm going to personally walk you through what this thing means for you. And I'm going to bring it back to your situation and make it stick to one of your most important goals right now, so that 2021 will be an amazing year for you. This was Bram LeGroux. I appreciate you guys, giving me the thumbs up, actively participating in today's live stream. And should you join us later on after the live stream ended, again, you are still up for the draw. Enter, participate. I'll still respond to you. And tomorrow I'll be back to talk about, let me check my cheat sheets here, to talk about COVID and your targeted action. Targeted action. So talking about meaningful goals and doing the things that are hard but necessary to get there faster. Guess what? That's tomorrow's episode. So I look forward to seeing you there. And again, appreciate your time and wish you a good evening if you're here, or a good morning or afternoon if you're somewhere else. Bye-bye.